All right, good afternoon, everyone. So, we have here a topic for today, which is writing proofs. So, you have here the bell ringer. It says there match each equation with the property to solve the equation. So, you have here 5 is equal to x plus 7. So, how do we solve this equation? We subtract 7 both sides, right? So, if we subtract 7 both sides, subtract 7 both sides, that will give us the subtraction property of equality. Next, for the number 2, what do we do to have the value of y? We add 12 both sides, correct? So that is, why did we add 12 both sides? To have y only on this side. To find the value of y, so that is add, so we use the addition property of equality. And next we have there this. We divide that by 8, right, to find the value of z. So that is your multiplication property of equality. And next, the last one would be this one. So we multiply it by 3 both sides to find the value of w. So that makes it having the, oh, I'm sorry. This should be B division property because we divided it, and this one multiplication, which is that one. All right. So here it is, D, A, B, C. So our topic for today is writing proofs. So these are our objectives of the day. And at the end of the lesson, you are expected to be able to say that you can use the angle relationship theorems involving two intersecting lines to solve problems. So you have here and use deductive reasoning, read and analyze proofs, choose appropriate format for a given situation, and construct proofs of theorems. And you can say, I can prove vertical angles are congruent. So the other day, I gave you work to find the definition of the following. So you have there the theorem and the proof, the ways of writing proof. You have the two-column proof and the paragraph proof, vertical angles. So let's have the first angle pair that we'll be talking, which is the angle pairs. So when you say vertical angles, when two lines intersect, 4 angles are formed. So these angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. So each pair of opposite angles are called vertical angles. So 1 and 3 are vertical angles. 2 and 4 are also vertical angles. How did you know? Because these are opposite angles. They are across each other. They are opposite. All right. So what's the relationship with the vertical angles? So you have there the theorem, vertical angles theorem. So if these two angles, there are two lines, right? There are two lines and form 4 angles. So therefore, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and angle 3 is congruent to angle 4 because these are the angles that are opposite to each other. So this is the proof of vertical angles. Please run through that one. And let's have an example. So you have an example of this. The diagram shows how glass lenses change the direction of light rays passing through a telescope. So what is the value of x, the angle formed by the crossed outermost light rays through the focal point? So if you have seen that these are two angles being formed having 11 degrees each, and there are two lines, and here's the angle of x, right? So what's the relationship between this angle and this angle? Those are vertical angles because they are opposite to each other. So that means 11 plus 11 will give us 22 degrees. So that means since these are vertical angles, therefore they are congruent. So x is equal to 22 degrees. All right, again, because that is vertical angles. All right, here, let's have an example. Find the value of x and the measure of each labeled angle. So look at the relationship between these two angles. Both are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So if vertical angles are congruent, that means you have to have 6x minus 45 degrees. These are congruent, so equals 4x plus 5. So that means you are going to equate them because they are congruent. So let's find the value of x. So by addition property of equality, we add 45 both sides. So you have there 6x is equal to, bring down 4x, 45 minus negative 45 plus 45 is 0, that's why it's 0 there. And 5 plus 45 is 50. So there's still x in here, so I will be moving 4x on the other side. That means I'll subtract 4x. And that will give you 2x is equal to 4x minus 4x is 0, so bring down 50. And that gives us 2x by division property of equality. That will give us x is equal to 25. So for the x is equal to 25, that makes it this. And find the measure of each labeled angle. So that means we have to plug in x is 25. So you have there 6 times 25 minus 45. 6 times 25 will give you 150 minus 45. That will give you 105 degrees. Same thing here, 4 times 25. We change x by 25, so plus 5, that is 100, plus 5, that is 105 degrees. All right. Next, we have the find the value of x and the measure of each labeled angle. So the same thing, 8x minus 20, because those are vertical angles, that makes it equal 5x plus 37. Subtract both sides. So you have 8x minus 5x is 3x, bring down negative 20. And that is 0. 5x minus 5x is 0, and bring down 37. And then add both sides by 20. So that give you 3x and then 57. And then divided by 3. And so x is equal to 19. And measure of each labeled angle. So you have there 8 and 19 minus 20. So 8 times 19, 8 times 19 rather, that would give you 152 minus 20, and that will give you 132 degrees. And we're certain that this will also be 132 degrees because they are equal. Next, you have here this 4. So I gave you this problem. Let me solve only 2 in here. So you have let's have this one. Those are vertical angles, so they're congruent. So the same thing, 2x is equal to 3x minus 42. So let's say subtract both sides by 2x. So that 0 equals x minus 42. So they're still bugging with x, which is negative 42. So we add the 42 there, both sides. And that will give you 42 is equal to x. And 2x is equal to 2 times 42. That will give you 84 degrees. And this will also be 84 degrees. All right, how about this one? These are vertical angles too, so you have there 5x is equal to 8x minus 75. So you subtract both sides by 5x, and that will give you 0. 3x minus 75, so add 75 both sides. So that's 75 is equal to 3x divided by 3, and that will give you 25. 25 is equal to x, right? And then you will do the rest for this one. 4x plus 21, and that one, where is... Alright, with regards to these 3x minus 47 and 2x plus 8, that should give you x is equal to 55, and both angles are 118 degrees. And this 4x plus 21, that will give you x is equal to 22, and both degrees has 109 degrees, right? So here is another theorem. When you say congruent, that is congruent, there equals supplement is 180 degrees. So if two angles are supplementary to congruent angles, then they are congruent. So measure of angle 1, measure of angle 2, that is 180. And 3 and 2 is 180. Therefore, these are congruent. That's what congruent supplements theorem. The same thing, okay, we'll not run through for this. I mean, you read that one. Congruent complements theorem. So if two angles are complementary to congruent angles or to the same angle, then they are congruent. So if you say congruent again, they are equal, but that congruent is that one. Complements, they have a sum of 90 degrees. So you have there, if measure of angle 1 and measure of angle 2 is 90, and measure of angle 2 and measure of angle 3 is 90, therefore, angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent. So they are the same. Next, you have here the right angle theorem. So if we say right angle, what's the measure of the right angle? Right angle has a measurement of 90 degrees. So if this is 90 degrees and this is 90 degrees, therefore they are congruent. Well, it will not change. It will always be 90 degrees for right angle. So that means all right angles are congruent. Next theorem, if two angles are congruent and supplementary, then each is a right angle. So if these are congruent, those are 90. 90 plus 90, and they are supplementary. So 90 plus 90 equals 180. So if this is congruent, that means they are right angles. Linear pair. Linear pair is a pair of adjacent angles whose non-adjacent sides form a line. So you have here angle 1 and 2 form a line. And that one gives us a sum of 180 degrees. That's half of a circle. That's why it's having 180 degrees. Now, Identify the pairs of angles that form a linear pair. Say, for example, let's say angle 1. What's the linear pair for angle 1? It can be angle 1 and 4, angle 1 and angle 4. Or you can also say angle 1 and angle 2, right? You can also say angle 2 and angle 3. And you can also say angle 3 and angle 4, right? You can also have angle 5 and angle 6, angle 6 and angle 7, angle 7 and angle 8, and you can also have angle 5 and angle 8. 5, 6, 6, 7, like that, right? Those are forming a line, or these are what we call the linear pair. All right, linear pairs theorem. So what does it say? The sum of the measures of a linear pair is, as what I have mentioned earlier, that is 180. So measure of angle 1, measure of angle 2 should be 180. So say, for example, measure of angle 1 is 105 degrees. What would be the measure of angle 2? Question mark. So what's their sum? 180. So you subtract it. Therefore, it is 75 degrees. So if you add 105 and 75, that is 180. Now here, find x. So find the measure of the labeled angle. So you have here 6x plus 19 and x. So if you have observed, that form a linear pair. So if that's a linear pair, they have a sum of 180. So here 6x plus 19 equals, no. That means they have a sum of 180. So 6x plus 19 plus x is equal to 180 degrees. So let's combine like terms. 6x and x will give you 7x plus 19 equals 180. And then you have there subtract 19 both sides. So that will give you 7x is equal to 1. 6, 1. Yep. 1, 6, 1. So divided by 7. So x is equal to 23. So we have found the value of x, and we have to find the measure of each labeled angle. So that means 6x plus 19, that is 6 times 23 plus 19 will give you what? 6 times 23 is 138 plus 19 will give you 157. And your x is 23 degrees. So if you notice 157 and 23, that will give you 180. All right. Now here, last question. Find x and y. So if you notice that these two are, what kind of angles? Angle pair. Those are vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent, right? So you have there 7x minus 2 is equal to 11x minus 34. And then we will be subtracting both sides by 7x. So 7x, and that will give you negative 2. I mean 7x minus 7x is 0, so bring down negative 2. 11x minus 7x will give you 4x minus 34. Now, what's after that one? So you have to add 34 both sides to have x only on that side. So that means 34 minus 2 or negative 2 plus 34 will give you positive 32 and then bring down 4x. Negative 34 plus 34 is 0 and then you divide 4 both sides. And so you have there 8 is equal to x. Right? So the value of x is 8. Now, how do we find the value of y? So let's plug in first the value of x there. So 7 times 8 minus 2 will give you, 7 times 8 is 56 minus 2, and that will give you 54 degrees. So if you have observed that this is having a linear pair, right? So if it's a linear pair, it has a sum of 180 degrees. So we have solved the value of x, which is 54, plus 18y, which is 180, right? So you subtract both sides by 54. So that gives us 18y, because 54 minus 54 is 0, and this is 6. 7 minus 5 is 2. It's 126. And divided by 18 both sides, that will give you y is equal to 7. So that's it. That's what is only asked there. That is what is asked there. Find x and y. So here's the proof of vertical angles. This is the two-column proof, and this is the paragraph proof that you have. And yep, that's it for today. And I hope you learned something. Bye.